When I completed the order, it said, you're being paid $2 for this order. And the customer, right? I think the exact quote is something like, the customer can change the tip within the hour. I know. Pre-tipping feels wrong. But once you understand how it works and why it works in your benefit, you'll never tip the same way again. Hi, my name is Levi Spires. This is the Tip You in the App Daily Drive podcast. In this episode, I will talk about pre-tipping and why I think it works for all of us. I will also go over a ride yesterday that I should have gotten a tip, but I didn't get a tip, and I'll show you why. And then I will answer your comments and questions. I'm an old man, maybe not that old, but I'm old. I'm 50 something. And I carry around walking around money, just a couple of ones and fives and tens and 20s, got a little wallet, a little money clip type of thing. And I use that money almost exclusively to tip. I'd say 80% of my tips go to the local car wash place because I go there once or even twice a day to get my car washed, and I'm giving them a 1 or a 5 or whatever. And that's where I do most of my tipping. I'll be honest, I don't eat out that much. I don't. I pretty much eat at home or whatever my wife prepares for us. And I take an occasional Uber. I tip when I go on business trips because I'll have to eat out then. And I tip the worker at the hotel, the cleaning person. But tipping obviously as an Uber driver is a really big part of what who I am. Tipping's everything. I mean, tipping's the name of this brand. It's on this website here. But pre-tipping, that's what we want to talk about today. Why you should or shouldn't do it. And maybe first talk about why you shouldn't do it. I think consumers, passengers, delivery customers, they see pre-tipping as like they're pre-tipping for the service, and you should only tip after the service has been completed. If the service met your requirements, whatever they might be, then you give the tip. And I understand that. But pre-tipping is actually a bid. It's kind of like a show of force. You're like saying, here's what I really, really want you to deliver this order to me, or I really, really want you to do this for me. So I'm going to give you the money because I want you to do it for me. Not wait and see and hope it works out in your favor. Pre-tipping delivers what you want. Let's talk about pre-tipping when it comes to food delivery. I think that's what we're most familiar with. Or maybe pre-tipping at, let's just talk about food delivery for a second. You go on to, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and you want to get your Chipotle order. So you put in your order, you pay the fees, and then you're like, do you want a tip? That tip, that $5 or whatever you give, is shown to the delivery person as part of our wage. Let me show you an example. On this order right here, I took an order for, $14 something, and it was from Smoothie King out to Newfield, out in the middle of nowhere. And we can debate whether that was a good trip or a bad trip. Let me tell you, yesterday, I barely made any money, so I took every order I could get because I was sitting around parked for 15, 20 minutes and not getting a single order. So I was happy to get this order. It was $14.71 for a trip. And notice it says includes the tip. What I don't know is what am I getting paid to do the work and what is the tip? So they pre-bid a tip is what they did. Now we can go and break down their fare here in a second here, but let me show you what it looks like when it came back to me after I completed the order. When I completed the order, it said, you're being paid $2 for this order. And the customer, right? I think the exact quote is something like, the customer can change the tip within the hour. Now, this is where tip baiting comes in, right? Because if you do an order and your intention was to never tip and you just pre-tip and then we pull the tip back automatically, that's tip baiting, and that's just lying, and that's a horrible thing. But I understand the reason why they do this. They do this in a sense of like, hey, what if you pre-tipped, but then the person didn't deliver all the food or whatever it might be. They spilled the food on your patio. So there's reasons to not tip and pull that tip. But from a driver perspective, I have no idea what the tip is. And so for the next hour, I'm sweating it out. Do I get the additional $12.71? Well, the funny thing is the person actually increased the tip by a total of 10 cents. Thank you. I wonder if they meant to type in $10 or a dollar extra. They just gave me 10 cents. So the tip ended up being $12.81 instead of $12.71. And I ended up making $14.81. Here's a real quick breakdown of the way the fare actually went. They paid $20.81 for the delivery, which is a lot of money. And it says excluding the price of the items paid to the restaurants. So they paid $20 just to get the food delivered to them, which is crazy. I would never do that. I just don't have the money to do that. Then the customer got a $4 promotion, which is nice. Then they put the $12.81 tip in. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I made $14.81. And then you see Uber made $14.72, which is, it's just bad. That's just horrible. But that's a video for another day. But now you kind of understand what pre-tipping does, at least the way the driver sees it. Now I ended up getting that tip and I really appreciate it. But tipping exists because service is personal and not standardized. See, you don't have to tip, and I get that. I'm not saying you have to tip, but you tip because your requirements are different than somebody else's. Every person is unique. And I'm going to show you my trip example where I didn't get a tip today, why a tip is a great tool for you as a consumer. It really empowers you as a consumer. But today, what I want to do is just talk about pre-tipping and why you should consider it. Think about it this way. When you pre-tip, what you're really doing is you're telling that person, the driver, the waiter, the waitress, you're serious. You really want something. So in the Uber driving experience, I've had it happen just a few times, but somebody just hands me a $5 bill and they'll say something like, I really need to get there. Now I can't break the law. I'm not going to speed through town for $5. I'm not going to, but what I will do is I'll be assertive. I will definitely try to pass cars when I can. I will definitely try to make a light when I can. I will take the shortcut. I will do everything I can because that person says, hey, here's $5. And I think the same thing is true if I were to go to a restaurant. Now, again, I don't go to restaurants that much, but when I do go, say, here's a $10 bill. Can you just make sure our drinks stay topped off? You'd be surprised at the level of service that you're going to get and the level of attention to detail and the way they're going to focus on you because you've pre-tipped them. Now, you could pre-tip and they may not do the thing you asked. You could give them $10 at a restaurant and they may not keep your glasses filled. Okay, you lost $10 and that's the horrible thing. But that's so rare. That's rarely ever going to happen. What's mostly going to happen, and this is what I've learned the older I get, you just put the money down, people respond in a positive way. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's good for the server. It's good for you as a consumer. It's good for the restaurant. See, the restaurant doesn't have to pay a server for bad service. You don't have to pay for a server for bad service. You get to pay for the service that you want and you establish the relationship up front. Now, at a restaurant, a $10 tip on, let's say, a $100 meal, and I'm making up a number here, you might actually want to tip 20% or even 25% or 30%. So the $10 is not going to cover that. But now at the end of the meal, you still can give them an additional 20. And you're like, oh my God, 30% tip on a $100 meal. I don't know what to tell you, but it's just the way we operate. And it's a good thing. It really is. And so think of pre-tipping as not generosity. The post-tip is a generosity type of thing. The pre-tip is an establishment of expectations of what you really, really need as a consumer. That's ultimately what it comes down to. The pre-tip says, hey, I'm willing to pay you, Mr. Levi Spires, the Uber driver. Here's $5, $10 or whatever, $1. I really need to do this. Here's $5. I'm going to jump on a call. Please don't mind me. Dude, I would turn the radio down. I would do whatever they want. That is what pre-tipping is all about. Now, let's talk about, let me show you my ride I had yesterday where I should have gotten a tip and I didn't get a tip. So yesterday I went to the airport. I picked up a ride. It was a $7 ride. It was a short ride and I'm trying to get a bonus. So I took the ride to complete a bonus. And when I picked up the ride, the passengers, there was 3 of them, college freshmen. And they had 3 large bags and 3 carry-ons. And thankfully I had my Tesla. I don't think I ever drive my Prius anymore anyway, but they ordered the cheapest car they could. And I get that. I understand that. And I want to defend them in this. So I want to make sure I'm clear, but I had to basically find ways to fit all of their luggage in the trunk of my car, the 3 bags. 2 of their carry-ons wouldn't fit. So I ended up putting them in the front seat of my car and having to lay down some stuff. And I had to hold it the whole time I'm driving because it kept trying to slide off and come across the front into my lap as a driver of the vehicle. And now I have a Tesla and it's mostly full self-drive and I felt safe. But it was just, I went out of my way to save them some money. And I think there's 3 things that could have happened. Because they didn't tip me. And I asked them, I was like, hey, it'd be great if you left me a tip. And they said they would. Now, number 1, maybe they didn't tip me because they felt I didn't deserve it. Now, I can't imagine that to be the case because I loaded all of their stuff. And they had to stand there and watch me load all their luggage. The second reason why is maybe they forgot. And I don't know about that. Because while they were in the car, I can hear them divvying up how they're going to pay each other. They're going to Venmo each other money or something like that. And I thought they were including the tip, but come to find out, Uber charged them $21 and I only made $7. And I think that's probably why they didn't tip me. Maybe they forgot. Maybe they forgot. But I think the reason why they didn't tip me is because they paid $21 for the ride and they assumed I made more. They assumed I made more than $7. They have to. Nobody thinks, oh, wow, my driver's making 1/3 of the fare. You know, she has to think, wow, he's making $10, $14 on this trip, maybe more. Maybe they're like totally naive and think I'm making 20 on the trip, which is a lot of money. They did pay a lot of money for this short little trip. And, but I could hear them saying, okay, $7 each or whatever. So I was thinking to myself, okay, so they're probably paying a little bit extra so that way I can get $2 or $3. And they didn't tip me, even though they said they would. And, does it hurt my feelings? A little bit, because I went out of my way. And there's a humbling factor. I think this is the thing that I work on for myself, being humble, serving the people. And it's imagine they're 18, 19-year-old students, and I'm a 50-year-old man, and I'm hustling, running around the car, loading their luggage, doing everything I can to serve them. And Uber makes their money. They all split their money evenly. They saved a little bit of money by splitting an Uber. I get that. And, you're just hoping for like $1, $2, $5 tip or something. And you got to do it despite whether you're going to get the tip or not. It's like everybody knows I'm the low man on the totem pole in that. I mean, that's a humbling thing to accept. So yeah, I just didn't get a tip. And the next ride did tip me. It was one college student and it was by herself and she tipped me $5. So you're going to make up for it in the end and life goes on. But people ask, do I expect tips? Well, if they say they're going to tip, I expect it. If I go over and above, like loading 3 large bags, moving things around, holding onto their other carry-on luggage in the front of my vehicle, I feel that's tip worthy. That's over and above, but uh, that's the way it goes. That's the way things are. Um, wow. Let's go through your questions here and your comments. This is actually not a question. This is a comment, and I won't read the whole thing to you, but Pedro's comment. He says, "I'm a physician in recovery. I'm a doctor of a prison." And he says, every day I walk into rooms where pain is present before I arrive. I have to read the space, feel the temperature, understand what's being said and what's not. Sometimes my role is to speak. Sometimes my role is to stay quiet. Sometimes it's simply to hold the moment steady so another human being can exist safely within it. That is service. What people don't expect is I do something very similar when I drive for Uber. And he goes on to talk about, his life, maybe good decisions, bad decisions, and it's kind of interesting. He works at a prison. He's a doctor, but he's Uber driving, so something is going on there. And I just, man, you know what? It speaks to me. I don't have an answer to it. That's the thing that kind of comes to me when I see this stuff. Is I think about the humbling factor we do as adults to serve other people. And I think about those girls, those college freshmen, the students, that I was serving them. They're standing there on the curb watching me hustle, and work for them. And I think about Pedro and the things he's doing to serve other people. And, you think when you're in my age or older, you're like, that's where you're kind of like flush with cash. That's where people are going to serve you. So there's a humility to what we do as Uber drivers. And what I like about what Pedro's talking about is he's paying attention to the needs of his patients or the riders. That's what I was doing with those young ladies, was paying attention to their needs. Their need was, hey, they want to save a couple of bucks, split an Uber with some friends. Can you load all this luggage? And I did. I did my best for them. And I let them talk about all the stuff that they're going to be doing this next semester and how exciting it is. And you just try to serve them. And I think, yeah, Pedro, man, I'm cheering for you, man. And thank you so much for your comment. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Raheel says, this guy can go back to accounting anytime and make real money, yet he drives Uber. Yeah, I know. I don't think I can go back to accounting. I think it's not like a flip of the switch. Remember, I started Uber driving during COVID. I'm an older guy. It's not like I can just go apply for jobs and people are going to pay me a lot of money. You kind of have to go back to the bottom of the totem pole again and work your way back up. And I'm old. I don't want to do that in the corporate world. There's service in that too, by the way. And I wasn't really an accountant. I did a lot more than just accounting. I could open my own accounting business, but then, I Uber drive for the flexibility, not the money. I need the money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not rich, but there's this part in your life where you kind of get to a spot where you're like, I'm not going to re-engage that previous part of my life. And I'll explain to you this way. When I was in the military, I took a course, an accounting course, actually, thinking about it. I took an accounting course at college, and the teacher was a retired sergeant. And he said there are 2 types of people that got out of the military. Type 1 is the one that got out of the military but kept their uniform pressed, hanging up in the closet, ready to be called back into action. And the other person that got out of the military separates and never does anything with it ever again. And that's kind of the way I am with my jobs. I got out of the military, went into the private sector. I did that. I'm out of the private sector and doing entrepreneurship, and now I'm an Uber driver. And I've not burned that bridge, but I'm not going backwards. I'm going forward with my life. I want to be a writer and a creator, and Uber driving gives me that flexibility to do that. It's hard. It's hard to be, 50-year-old man hustling, loading bags to hopefully get $1 tip. And there's not a lot of money in it, but it gives me the ability to do that. Because when I was an accountant, when I was working, in business, my mind was consumed, and you get paid for it, by the way. You get paid well to do it, but my mind was consumed with all of the work that I had to do, the employees that I needed to help and support, the managing the money so that way the owner could get a profit and all these type of things. It was in the projects and the reports and just emails and Zoom meetings. I couldn't. And I now have the one thing that I never really had access to before is full access to my brain. And that's why I'm able to produce content and be an artist and a writer and a creator now, because I have access to that. It's a sacrifice, but that's why I'm not going back into accounting. Okay. And then Lisa, she says, "You have nice facial hair." I'll take that. "It's just like my husband's." What does that have to do with Uber? Nothing. And you know what? I love a good compliment. Hey, when you're a short, fat, bald man, yeah, my beard is probably the only thing I got going for me. I cut it too close and I'm a little bit too fat right now. I got to lose a little bit of weight to give it a little sharpness here. Look at myself in the camera up there. And then my glasses, yeah. Because I have ugly teeth and I'm overall a pretty ugly kind of guy. So when people compliment me about my beard, boom, I so like that. I really do. Thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much to all the subscribers and the members of Thrive. Gig You, a new partner that I'm bringing onto the program. Thank you so much. Red Tiger, Lace Fit. Hey, if you want to know what kind of camera I use to capture all this content, I use my Red Tiger dash camera for most of, if not all, the content. Lace Fit, the floor mats, man, it's so snowy out there. If you're not interested in supporting one of those sponsors, hey, do me a favor, go out and join the free Facebook group. It's a lot of fun. Tip you in the app. It's a Facebook group just for drivers. Drivers for 2026. My goal is to make Uber driving fun again, at least for me, because I got into a grind, and the last 6 months, I'm like, I'm going to rethink everything. And so for 2026, that's the goal. Make it fun. And I know it's hard because we want to make more money and there's a lot of stuff out of our control, but we can control whether we enjoy it or not. My name is Levi Spires. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.